Have you ever noticed this? In a group conversation, everyone is talking, explaining, interrupting, filling every gap with words, but one person isn't. They're quiet. And strangely, people keep looking at them. When they finally speak, no one interrupts. No one checks their phone. The entire room listens. Why? They didn't talk more. They didn't dominate. They didn't try to impress. Yet somehow, they became the most respected person there. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Confidence is rarely recognized by what someone says. It's recognized by what they don't feel pressured to say. Today you'll understand why silence changes how people perceive you, psychologically, socially, and emotionally. The misunderstanding. Most people believe confidence is visible, strong voice, quick replies, always having something to say. But psychology shows the opposite. Humans subconsciously measure status, using behavior under social pressure, and conversation is pressure. Silence is difficult. When a pause appears in conversation, your brain panics. You feel responsible to fill it. You joke. You explain too much. You agree too fast. Not because you want to, because your mind is trying to remove discomfort. This is called social tension avoidance. Your brain interprets silence as a social risk, so it pushes you to talk, just to feel safe again. But here's the key. The person who doesn't rush to remove the tension is perceived as the person least afraid of judgment. And the human brain automatically labels that confidence. The first psychological shift. Think about arguments. When someone criticizes you, what is your first instinct? Explain, defend, clarify immediately. Why? Because you feel your image is under threat. But the moment you urgently defend yourself, you communicate something unintentionally. You need their approval to feel secure. Now imagine a different reaction. Someone questions them, accuses them, pushes them. They pause, they don't rush, they don't over-explain. They simply say, okay, or they say nothing at all. Suddenly the emotional balance shifts. Why? Because humans read emotional urgency as weakness and emotional stability as strength. Silence removes urgency, and without urgency, people assume certainty, not consciously, instinctively. Why silence creates status? Here's a powerful social rule. The person who controls their reactions controls the social environment. When you immediately react, others can influence you. When you pause, they cannot predict you. And unpredictability increases perceived authority. Your brain does this automatically with teachers, judges, leaders, and experienced professionals. Notice something: experts rarely rush to speak. They listen first. They think. They respond last. Because speaking quickly signals something psychologically. You're trying to prove you belong. But people who already believe they belong don't feel the need to prove it. Silence communicates, I am comfortable here, and comfort equals status. The hidden emotional effect. Silence doesn't only affect how others see you, it changes how you feel. Every time you rush to respond, your brain stays reactive. You become controlled by situations. But when you pause before speaking, something important happens. You move from emotional reaction to conscious choice. Neuroscience shows that a short pause activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for judgment and emotional regulation. Meaning silence literally gives you access to better thinking. You say fewer regrettable things. You escalate fewer conflicts. You feel less anxious after conversations. So silence is not passivity, it's response control. And response control is what people interpret as emotional maturity, which again they label as confidence. Why people respect quiet individuals. People don't respect noise, they respect stability. When someone talks constantly, the brain adjusts. Their words lose weight. But when someone speaks rarely, each sentence gains significance. This is called scarcity psychology. Rare things appear valuable. Rare words appear meaningful. That's why a person who talks all the time convinces no one. A person who speaks carefully influences everyone. Your silence creates anticipation. People start wondering, what are they thinking? And once curiosity appears, attention follows. Then respect follows attention. Not because you demanded it, because you didn't chase it. Situations where silence is powerful. Silence becomes strongest in specific moments. When insulted, when provoked, during heated arguments, when someone is emotional, when decisions are pressured. In those moments, people expect reactions. So a calm pause breaks the emotional script. It forces others to reflect on themselves. You didn't win by overpowering them. You changed the psychological frame. Instead of conflict, you created awareness. And often the other person softens first. Not because you defeated them, because your calmness removed their opposition. The final realization. Silence does something deeper. It separates identity from reaction. When every comment pulls a response out of you, you are being controlled by the environment. But when you choose when to speak, you become internally directed. And humans trust internally directed people. Why? Because they seem grounded, predictable emotionally, not behaviorally. They don't panic socially. They don't chase validation. They don't over-explain themselves. And that creates a powerful perception. They must know who they are. Confidence, at its core, isn't loudness. It's self-certainty. And self-certainty removes the need for constant expression. So silence is not about becoming distant. It's about becoming intentional. You still speak. You still express. But not automatically. You choose. You pause before reacting. You listen before replying. You think before defending. And slowly, something surprising happens. People interrupt you less. They take your opinion seriously. Conversations become calmer around you. Your words begin to carry weight. Because the world doesn't measure confidence by how often you speak. It measures confidence by how comfortable you are when you don't need to. And once you understand that, silence stops feeling awkward and starts feeling powerful.